It's a pleasure to have all of you with us here. We have our guest today, who's a speaker, Mr. Sarabjit Singh Bhogal. And before I introduce him, let me give you a quick overview on the topic that we're going to discuss today. As we all know, cost is a significant component of the overall business, and managing cost is going to be one of the biggest challenges even going forward for all businesses. So talking about the auto component industry, cost optimization supports the realization of a win-win for manufacturing companies and their suppliers at an optimum cost for suppliers. For that reason, it is necessary to focus on cost optimization right from the beginning of the product life cycle. That is at the conceptualization stage of a new product. Companies can create significant cost optimization through better understanding and evaluation of cost drivers across the entire value chain. In recent years, intense competition in the auto component industry has resulted in significant changes to the landscape, with the emergence of new markets and new players. In this challenging environment, effective cost management has become imperative in order for suppliers to maintain profitability. So we have decided to have today's discussion on the topic cost optimization in auto component industry. And I hereby invite our expert speaker, Mr. Sarabjit Singh Bhogal. It's my pleasure and our honor in TCS Ion to have you with us, Mr. Bhogal.
Thank you.
As an introduction to Mr. Bhogal, Mr. Sarabjit Singh Bhogal is the head of operations at Tata Autocom Systems Limited in the Composites division in Pune. He has done mechanical engineering, BE from Nagpur University, a dynamic professional with over 20 years of rich experience in plant operations, TQM systems, commercial necessities of the plant, and management. He has comprehensive expertise in spearheading the manufacturing operations, with key focus on top line and bottom line profitability by ensuring optimal utilization of resources. Mr. Bhogal has the expertise in maintenance of various equipment and machinery for reducing downtime and enhancing operational effectiveness of the equipment. He has also undergone training on lean manufacturing and standard work at New Jersey, USA by SS White Technologies and TQM by JUSE in Japan. He holds distinction of implementing IATF ISO 9000-2000 quality standards and lean techniques for improving the operational efficiency along with the energy conservation for cost savings. Prior to this, he also worked with Voco Motherson Limited in Noida and in Sharjah in the UAE. He's also worked with SSY Technologies in Greater Noida. So once again, welcome to this program, Mr. Bhogal. Pleasure to have you with us. So we get on to the discussion. The first question that comes to our mind is the automotive industry using the correct levers to reduce costs efficiently and effectively, Mr. Bhogal?
Yeah, thank you, Dave, and thank you everyone for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this talk show. So before answering the question, I would just like to give you a brief about the Indian auto component industry. So the Indian auto component industry has experienced a healthy growth over the last few years. It grew by a CAGR of 6% from FY16 to FY22, and in FY20 the size of the industry is around $49.3 billion. It accounts for 2.3% of India's GDP and employs as many as 2 million people directly and indirectly. Thanks to the early Japanese, European and US influence, the components industry has been very competitive right from its inception. The automotive standards like IATF, TS, QS, ISO has also been instrumental in keeping the manufacturers on their toes. Majority of the auto component industries here are using the traditional or conventional cost reduction levers. and we can broadly classify them into reduction in the procurement cost, reduction in manufacturing cost using the lean manufacturing techniques, supply chain cost, employee cost, overhead cost, and IT cost. So one more figure I would like to share is that the Indian export of auto component grew at a CAGR of 7.6% from 16 to 20. In 20, the total auto components export was US dollar 14.5 billion, and these figures have been taken from ACMA. This could happen only because the industry here was competent enough and at par with the overseas manufacturers. So we can say that the industry has used the cost reduction levers pretty efficiently and effectively till now. Now, going forward, we all know because of the growing demand, there is an advantage in India. So we can say that growing working population and expanding middle class will always is expected to be the key demand driver, and they will always play a key role in growing the demand. Then export opportunities tend to increase for the manufacturers in India. Export will account for around 26% of the market in FY21. We have policy support by the government. 100% FDI is allowed under the automatic group of auto component sector. The GST for electrical vehicles is favorable. It has been reduced to 5% from 12%. Then we have definitely the cost competitive advantage. The cost structure of the manufacturers over here is around 10 to 25% less than the counterparts in Latin America and Europe. India is the second largest producer of steel globally. So again, there is a cost advantage. But to capitalize this advantage, the industry needs to do something more other than following the traditional levers. So here, the need arises to shifting to the strategic levers. So what in future hold is that we should develop a strategic plan for cost reduction. Develop and review your plan on regular basis. Review the operation of your company from a goal perspective, from a global perspective, and do not get lost in one department. Visualize short, medium, and long-term gains. The new levers around which the focus should be, the first should revolve around the customer. Second should be the product. Third will be the innovation, and last, globalization. The cost drivers rather than the type of cost should be the starting point for any cost management initiative. Knowledge on the extent of influence of each cost driver is essential. Employee qualification is a crucial issue. The increasing complexity of product is a significant cost driver. International supply chain leads to high cost in logistics and IT. So these are the lead measures on which we will have to focus to obtain the result, and that will be the different components of the P&L statement. So to avoid unnecessary cost, automotive suppliers should collaborate closely with the suppliers and customer right from the start of an innovation process. The continuous process, improvement process is already there in most of the organizations. That has to be further strengthened. So considering this, to utilize the advantage of manufacturing in India, these apart from the conventional levers, the industry should adopt its strategic levers to further enhance the effectiveness and efficiency of cost reduction. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Bhogal. I think you gave an overall perspective of the auto industry, and then also the different types of levers, the traditional or conventional levers, the strategic levers, and all this keeping the customer in the center of the whole scheme of things. So I think thanks for that introduction. Let me then take you to the next question, Mr. Bhogal. What are the challenges that the auto component industry is facing currently? If you can just throw some light on that.
Yeah, here again, the automotive industry is one of the ripest industries in India, but that does not stop it from being fraught with challenges and issues. Overcoming these challenges will enable the Indian automotive industry to become the biggest disruptor in the global market. Now, first, let me talk before the COVID case, the challenges that the industry faced before the COVID. The ever expanding Chinese market. One of the biggest challenge of automakers outside India is the risk of competing with China. In the last 15 years, China has been the leading automotive market. The biggest challenge for the planners of automotive market is to plan a strategy keeping in mind China's outlook. Second is the evolution of connected cars. The biggest transformation changes in the automotive industry is the connected cars, but it is in a very nascent stage, and that's why lots of uncertainties are surrounding it. Then we have the increased competition. Of all the myriad issues facing the automotive world, one of the pressing problems is the sales demand flattening in mature markets like Europe, Japan, and competition rising from other manufacturers. The slowdown in sales is directly proportional to the increasing competition. Fourth is the balancing the demand of technology and government. The major global automotive markets have been facing stringent legislations focusing on controlling carbon dioxide and other exhaust gas emissions. This is done to improve fuel economy. One of the key challenges in the industry is to maintain right powertrains and technology choices to cater to the changing social preferences in a changing regulatory environment. Last, the fifth challenge is the consolidation of platforms. Intensifying competition, state regulators and global consumers are making global automakers rethink their platform strategy. In FY20, the sector was struggling with challenges of decline in automobile volumes due to weak economic scenario. BS6 transition was there, leading to price increase, inventory correction by OEMs, as well as impact of COVID-19. However, the resilience of this sector has stood out as OEMs stepped up to support countries' effort to boost capacity to manufacture ventilators, crucial to the treatment of COVID-19 cases. There are a number of uncertainties on business front. One thing is for sure, the unprecedented challenge induced by COVID-19 is making the auto components sector relook into its ecosystem. Just after the lockdown, the immediate challenges that the industry was facing were the three challenges. First being the demand. The people were very skeptical whether the population will invest on the essential or automobiles. However, after 3-4 months, now the picture is clear and demands have begun to soar again. The second was supply. Still, the auto component manufacturers depend mainly on the class 2 and 3 vendors. And these were the people, those who were hit maximum by the lockdown because of the cash flow issues. And third, the labor. We all saw what happened during the lockdown. But these three challenges again have been, I think, more or less overcome, we can say. But still, currently, the priority clearly remains the reduction of capex and maintaining cash flow. Right now, the mantra seems to be finding ways to enhance demands for parts and risk mitigation. Many also view this crisis as an opportunity to do better. Some possibilities coming out post-COVID-19 for auto component industries are, first being the local sourcing. The first challenge that earlier I talked about was China, and now the global automotive manufacturers are looking an alternative for China, and India is a strong contender for the same. Second is the more takers for auto components. Auto component sector's constant effort to fight COVID-19 were shaped by R&D departments which realized that its competence are beyond the production of auto ancillaries. This makes the auto component sector as a continuous functioning sector that has a massive multiplier effect on the ecosystem. Collaborations, again, like ventilations, the auto manufacturers have got the benefit of working together across with other manufacturers. So what we can conclude is the worst is over, and industry after COVID has again reshaped and transformed itself to face any further challenges.
Wonderful. I think, I mean, China has been a big issue, big challenge for the industry. And as we all know, this is a capex intensive industry as such, and a whole lot of challenges. And as if all that was not enough, and then COVID, of course, struck. But I think the silver lining in the cloud, Mr. Bhogal, is that India is emerging as an alternative to China.
Yes.
And so we can look forward to really attracting world attention from the global auto comp industry. And of course, as you said, FDI is also coming now. So I think, and given the resilience that the industry is known to have over the years, I think the good days are just around the corner. So.
Yes.
So that means that there could be more opportunities. So can you, with your experience, Mr. Bhogal, can you share your thoughts on how the auto component manufacturers can capture new opportunities with respect to cost optimization?
Yeah, cost optimization has always been the key to profitability for manufacturers. The COVID-19 crisis has sharpened this focus and seen the emergence of a new cost resilience trend. Enabled by digital, these are likely to change the competitive landscape for long term. Certain sectors in the industry have always been highly cost competitive, automotive and consumer products in particular. It is no surprise that the lean manufacturing approach first emerged in automotive sector at Toyota. One change more prevalent is that where growth and sustainability used to be the primary business drivers, now cost management and long-term resilience represent a new organizational focus. The two new emerging trends are, let's go to the first one. It is the design for cost. Those companies that have invested heavily in a product before it is manufactured, such as in prototyping or tooling, are rethinking their approaches to cost resilience. They are making cost a constituent of how they design. To elaborate further, in addition to designing for usability, customer delight, or serviceability, they are now designing for cost as well. This is easier for manufacture of serial products whose mass production enables a scope of economies of scale. The engineer-to-order manufacturers don't have the luxury. Rather, they must look at the design changes that might bring about a cost reduction. Going back to the drawing board to rethink their design, digital technologies such as artificial intelligence, digital twins, 3D modeling are helping in this effort and can be used to build new design use cases aligned with business drivers. In pre-COVID-19 era, we hadn't witnessed this use of digitization to maintain cost that strongly. The pandemic has shown the art to the industry. For example, let's take a manufacturer of specialist tires. When a tire is designed, the rubber used is clearly a big cost factor, as are the testing, approval, quality control, and brand. To reduce cost, you can't simply change the rubber because a lot of cost is already locked in. You can, of course, look at the aspects such as supply chain, inventories, sourcing, etc. But still, some 70% of the cost is tied up in the design. If you can relook at the design and use digital, perhaps to rapidly prototype new ingredients specification, you can take out cost from the outside. So this is just one example of how you can design for cost. The second new emerging trend is product as a service. Product as a service model allows manufacturer to design products in such a way that even if production costs are higher, perhaps due to embedding smart connectivity, the opportunity to increase the revenue grows. By using smart technology, you can bring down the product lifecycle cost for end customer. Now, combining the new and old, these two trends are emerging in a manufacturing sector where traditional levers of cost reduction are no longer delivering sufficient benefits. I'm not advocating that they should be ignored. However, a focus on these areas offers the opportunity for things and create short-term momentum that can make your cost resilience program self-funding. So manufacturers should continue use the traditional levers in parallel with rethinking their design engineering and using digital to build new service-led product development. It's important to make a ladder for this cost resilience activity so that each step funds the next one. Understanding the profit and loss position is essential also for this. To reduce your cost, you should know your cost. So traditional cost optimization and optimization efforts have pivoted to cost resilience, which is integral to the long-term strategy. So these are the two new emerging trends which manufacturers should also look upon, apart from the levers that they have effectively already used.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mr. Bhogal, for that detailed account of optimizing on cost or reducing the cost. So, what about production cost? I mean, production essentially is the heart of the manufacturing operation, the heart of an auto comp industry. So, what are your thoughts on reducing production cost? Because that's where the key is actually. So, do you have specific the points which will be beneficial to the viewers and they can also adopt those methods in reducing production costs?
Yeah. I think first of all, thorough and realistic assessment of all manufacturing facilities should be the first step taken when tackling any problem. Cost efficiency, cost reduction, and spend analytics need to be top of the list when it comes to supply chain management and procurement. In fact, majority of the people thinks that the major cost reduction happens in procurement. So it is true to some extent also, because for any manufacturing organization, the major cost is the material cost. So material procurement has to be done very cautiously, because that is where the major chunk of the spend is happening. Then we have the manufacturing expenses. So all these expenses need to be scrutinized in detail, and then a thorough action plan to be made for them. Secondly, we should prioritize the ROI, that is return on investment. Following an assessment, it's important to prioritize findings. Oftentimes, manufacturers go several years without comprehensive audit, which results in obsolete processes, procedures, and technology. So it is very important that we reassess our processes from time to time. So here we get the new lead measures, how to reduce our cost. Third is the seek improvement from within. It is impossible to know where the next big idea will come from. So it's important to reach out to the employees on the factory. They are in the trenches every day, and they can be of great source of ideas for improving processes in order to generate value. Reconsider old ideas. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. A common phrase, and one that manufacturers are all too often guilty of. When a cost-saving method doesn't work out, they may abandon it completely, not realizing that this is the seed of a great idea in place. Original ideas are not necessarily bad ideas. And by going back and re-evaluating previously proposed cost-saving methods, it may spur new ideas or cause reconsideration, inspiring and implementation of them in near future. Following of the standards, that is the quality standards, TS standards, because the standards put a great emphasis on continuous improvement, and that is again from where we get measures from which we can add further value. Reduce energy consumption. The energy consumption is second only to the labor cost in most of the auto component industries. So we should conduct regular energy audits and plug in all the wastages, go for the greener initiatives, solar. Most of the manufacturers are going for solar. So I think we should capitalize on this because of the weather conditions in our country. Then we should go for automation. We have, I will say that general feeling is that robots are very costly. But now we run a program in our organization where we have named it low-cost automation. So it is not necessarily that automation will always cost increase. If properly implemented, it can reduce the cost to a major extent. And nowadays, robots, what we call them, collaborative robots or cobots. So they are easy to implement and cheap also. Time to time, we should see that whatever things, whatever capex or inventories that is of no value for us that should be discarded. One, the negotiation with the suppliers and freight carriers. Supply chain and transportation is one of the major expenses in automotive manufacturers. So building long-lasting relationship with suppliers and freight companies is essential to manufacture success. But that does not mean that the first price presented should be accepted. Manufacturers need to take advantage of the position and take advantage of those suppliers. And now, on the most crucial, that is, we should all embrace lean manufacturing. Last and not the least, this is the major which will be deployed in the shop floor. Lean manufacturing removes or minimizes non-value work activity from manufacturing processes, from the front office to distribution. This results in a reduced manufacturing cost and increased speed of market, helping manufacturers realize their full potential. Lean manufacturing reduces waste, addressing motion, inventory, waiting time, transportation, information, quality, overproduction, processing, and creativity. Lean manufacturing should become the part of company culture, which does not require teamwork and cooperation, but in the end, Lean's focus on continuous improvement make a business and its bottom line much better. By implementing even just a few of the cost-saving ideas outlined above, manufacturers can be on their way to become more profitable. Before beginning a cost-saving journey, there is one thing to remember. Although cutting cost and saving money feels good, it's important not to sacrifice the quality of your product or services. So these are some of the new emerging cost optimization trends.
Right. That was a very interesting narrative, Mr. Bogal. Lean manufacturing, that's the key going forward. Although some of the best global practices like lean manufacturing, IS and TS standards are all there, and the industry is adopting it at a rapid pace actually. But the question that many OEMs or even customers may have is that by reducing these production costs and by supply chain costs, will it finally impact the quality of the product, right? So that's always a concern. So what are your thoughts on that? Will it really have an impact on the quality of the product?
Yes, quality is important. I think that's why I ended my last answer with quality only. Customer expectations are rising, and to remain competitive, OEMs are demanding higher quality from their suppliers. The demand for Six Sigma and other quality initiatives is an emerging trend. It is fundamental premise of manufacturing that high quality products cannot be built cost efficiently from low quality components. Most suppliers operate in a tolerance range of 2 to 3 sigma. OEMs cannot achieve 6 sigma with quality of 2 to 3 sigma products. Quality must be a systematic way of doing business that is instilled in all participants in the chain. Quality has become critical in supply chain using just-in-time manufacturing, which low inventory levels because they have very few buffers to protect against quality failures. Proficient problem identification and problem solving capabilities are fundamental elements of the quality plan. We must carefully target and prioritize improvements in terms of their efficient effect on the company's operational and financial goals as well as the overall business objective. Delivering a quality product requires at minimum well-established and well-documented manufacturing processes and controls that meet impartial standards and customer requirements. Six Sigma is one such standard, but other less exacting standards may be adequate too. SMEs are increasingly being required to identify, capture, analyze, and act on the process data in conformance with the statistical process control. SPC has advanced beyond its early role as an after-the-fact application of statistics to production and inspection data, where it served primarily as a means of creating a report verifying compliance with customer requirements. Today, SPC can provide opportunities for real-time assessment of manufacturing processes that can enable response to causes of process variation as they happen. Thus, the processes can be adjusted before non-conforming products are produced. The savings are immediate and quantifiable, not just in direct cost, but also in more timely shipments, improved product quality, and increased customer satisfaction. Properly implemented quality procedures can reduce rework, rejection, testing, and inspection, and improve on the deliveries. So we should adopt quality as a competitive strategy and consider implementing techniques such as Six Sigma standards and SPC to comply with customer demands and improve overall business performance, and provide a common language for communication for all quality issues. Now, talking about the product quality, what comes to our mind is cost, value, delivery, and service. The focus should be on elimination or reduction of non-value added cost, and we should try to add value to the customer. So some of the techniques that are being followed is the activity-based costing, called ABC costing. The implementation of ABC requires the creation of a conceptual outline of the firm's cost flow patterns, development of day-to-day activity-based cost, construction of a computer-based cost accumulation model that simulates the activity-based cost flows, analysis of difference between new and old systems to validate the usefulness of new system for gathering accurate job cost. Added value. The enterprise should rigorously reduce cost internally and throughout their supply chains. They should also seek ways to increase value added to their products and services and find customers willing to reward such. In response to increasing demands for rapid delivery, the customized products, small and medium manufacturing enterprises should consider using advanced supply chain communications, flexible manufacturing techniques, because now the customer requires just the amount that they have ordered. They are very much sensitive to maintaining their inventories. So they do not want the stock to be piled up at their ends. So all the deliveries have to be in the Kanbans, that is the fixed bin size specified by the customer. Lastly, the service. In response to the increasing customer expectations, service and support companies should re-access their service and support capabilities to revise them as needed to remain competitive to seize new market opportunities. So if we focus on all these surveys, delivery, NVAs, and adding value, and the process talked earlier, so quality, product quality will not deteriorate, but it will enhance by further helping us in cost reduction.
All right. That was a very detailed and very interesting, explanation of the quality part, Mr. Bhogal. So coming to our last part of the discussion, of course, Tata Autocom Systems is in the cutting edge of delivering high quality products in such a competitive industry. And you personally have been driving, leading, and spearheading the manufacturing operations with key focus on cost optimization, profitability, and all that. So, what are the other key takeaways that you would say as part of your closing remarks in terms of very important pointers that you want the viewers and the other beneficiaries of this program to take away with them?
See, being a part of the fraternity of this auto manufacturers, auto component manufacturers, first of all, I think the mood of the industry is very upbeat, and we are ready to face any challenges because after the COVID, we have emerged stronger. And now, the key ways I would like to give by the example that what we are practicing in our organization. So here what we do is that we have named our cost reduction program as EBITDA savings plan. And all the components of a P&L, that are the lag measures. So, but again, to get an impact on the components of the P&L, we have various brainstorming sessions, and we just try to identify the drivers that will do the cost reduction. So I think the main focus we should all do is on the drivers rather than the impact on that. Suppose we have to reduce the energy cost, that will be a final parameter to measure how much reduction we have done in the P&L statement. But first, we should know how much energy we are consuming, and that is, we should have the baseline. And then, depending upon the baseline, we should do a 80-20 analysis. What are the quick wins we can get? And similarly, all the manufacturing activities that involves, I think the main that comes is the material cost. Material cost, of course, the procurement people work on, but the operations people should work on reducing the wastages. So I think the main is our focus should be on eliminating the waste, because waste reduction and non-value added cost reduction automatically adds value for the customer. It reduces our extra cost that we are taking from the customer. If we are willing to get rid of these wastages, automatically our product will meet the quality standards in less cost than we have already been producing. So I think we should follow the traditional levers, but this cost reduction should be a part of our strategy. And whatever planning, long term, short term, we should do, cost reduction should be one of the main pillar of it. And it is not that there is no end to an optimization, because we cannot say that last year our energy or labor cost was 7%, and this year also we are targeting 7% as of course the cost increases, we have to pay the increments, but still we will maintain it at 7%. That will not be acceptable, because customer accepts the suppliers to provide discount year-on-year basis. So we have to think of new ideas and keep looking for drivers that will be beneficial for reducing cost. And the four, I think, drivers that we should consider is customer, product, innovation, and globalization. So this cost reduction, this will never be a final destination. It will be a journey, and this journey will always continue.
Okay. So that was interesting, and with that, Mr. Bhogal, that brings us to the end of our discussion. Let me tell you, I'm sure the viewers and all the audience would have found it very useful. It was a very comprehensive capturing of all aspects of cost optimization. And as I said, being a leader in the industry, and you with your expertise and the overall experience in driving cost optimization and various other strategies, I think it was a very useful session. I'm sure it was very informative and useful for all of us. And thanks for taking out the time to join us in this program, Mr. Bhogal, and sharing all your information. Thank you once again.